Hello! Film Flash Recaps here. Today, we will talk about a movie from 2018, Red Sparrow. Our story today begins with two characters from Russia. Dominika Egorova, a famous ballerina, who has to take care of her sick mother, whom she leaves with a carer so that she can go to work. She puts on her makeup in the cabin and changes her clothes, then goes to meet some guests, who have come with her uncle Ivan Egorov, deputy director of the Russian Secret Service. He introduces his niece to Dmitry Ustinov, a Russian mobster who touches her sensually on the back. The show starts and Dominika comes dancing on stage and her partner falls from the jump right on her leg. Dominika is rushed to the hospital and operated on. The other character is Nate Nash. He is a CIA agent and he receives a coded phone call. This code represents the coordinates of the meeting place. He takes his gun and leaves. He ends up in a park when he realizes that he is being followed by someone in a car. From the opposite direction comes a man dressed in black, who walks past him and gives him something. Seeing that he is still being pursued, in order to disorient the pursuers, he creates a diversion by firing his gun into the ground and takes off. He manages to reach the American embassy before being caught by his pursuers. Here he meets with his bosses, who tell him that the asset is safe, but he must return to the US because it has been exposed. The next day, Ivan goes to see the director of the Russian Secret Service, Colonel Zakharov. There he meets General Korchnoi and together they watch the footage of the meeting in the park. They are concerned with finding out the identity of the person who met with Nate, who they knew had already been sent home. Dominika wakes up in the hospital to find her leg trapped in a metal brace. The thought of never being able to dance again makes her cry. After 3 months, she walks with the help of a cane. Ivan comes to her and tells her that the people at the theater have hired another dancer in her place and that she will no longer be able to pay the rent and her mother's medicine because she will be fired. Ivan tells her that he is waiting for her at his place to help her when she feels ready, and before leaving he leaves her an envelope, in which Dominika finds pictures of her dance partner in tender poses with his substitute and an audio recording of her understanding that he purposely jumped over her leg to knock her out of the show. Later, Dominika goes to the theater and sees her ex-partner dancing with the new ballerina. Dominika then sees them go to the cubicles where they shower together and have sex. Then, blinded by rage, she knocks them both down, hitting them violently with her cane. After getting on the bus, he sees that he has blood on his hand and decides to go to a payphone and report the incident to the police. Arriving home, she finds her mother collapsed in the bathroom, and the caretaker has left her, knowing that she will no longer be able to be paid. Left with no solutions, Dominika goes to ask her uncle Ivan for help. He told her that he was helping her, but to do her a favor in return. To use her beauty and charm to get closer to Ustinov, to win his trust, because the Secret Service wants to know more about his activities. Dominika disagrees, but Ivan reminds her that her mother needs better doctors and that the state hospitals are miserable. However, that night, Dominika puts on the dress given to her by Ivan and goes to the hotel where Ustinov is staying. Sitting on a chair at the bar, Ustinov notices her immediately and approaches her. She tells him that she came to meet him and they go to the room together. Ustinov sends the guards outside and begins to undress in a hurry and tells Dominika to undress as well. The girl hesitantly begins to unbutton her dress, and when she gets a little closer, Ustinov knocks her down on the bed and tries to rape her. Just then a helmeted man dressed in black jumps on him and slits his throat, takes Dominika and takes her to a secret location. The man takes off his helmet and says that he is Secret Agent Matt Oren and was sent by her uncle, who is watching them from another room with General Korchnoi on the surveillance camera monitors. The general says that the witness must be eliminated, but Ivan, trying to save her, tells him that the girl could be useful in the future. Then the colonel goes to Dominika and she says that she knew about the fact that Ustinov was going to be killed, but did not want to tell her because she would have refused to cooperate. Ivan suggests that she accept the offer to go to a spy school to become a special agent, because she is very good. If she refuses, he won't be able to protect her. Dominika accepts his offer. Then a few days later he arrives at Sparrow School, and the headmistress of the school comes to meet him and gives him a note with the name he will wear in school. Then he goes to classes, where the headmistress tells them about the chaos of the modern world and that their country is able to make sacrifices to make things right, and that the students trained here will master the art of seduction and psychological manipulation. Then Dominika and another student, Victor, are brought out and made to strip in front of the others. Victor starts to undress, but the girl refuses, which upsets the headmistress. Meanwhile, Nate has been summoned to the CIA disciplinary board, where he is informed that he is suspended and will not be able to leave the country. But Nate insists, saying he's been working with his informant for 3 years, who won't trust anyone else. Dominika moves in with Sparrow, but when she gets into the shower, a coworker tries to rape her, but she knocks him out with a battery that he rips off the wall. In class, she is challenged by her attacker. She then undresses and sits on the table, challenging him to do whatever he wants in the shower, but he gives in and leaves. The headmistress orders her to speak to her privately and tells her that the general followed her and was impressed by her, so she will send her back to Moscow. In the USA, Nate asks his superiors to send him back to resume working with his informant. They tell him that they only allow him on the condition that he go to a nearby country, and Nate agrees. On the other side, the Russian officers also receive the information that Nate will act from Budapest and discuss the need to send someone undercover there, because the president wants to avoid a conflict between states. Dominika is with her mother at home and receives a call telling her to go to a restaurant to meet Ivan. She arrives at the restaurant and meets her uncle, who tells her that he is going on a mission to Budapest and will have to befriend Nate to gain his trust in order to find out who the informant is. Arriving in Budapest, she will have to live with Marta, another Sparrow spy. Later, he goes to meet his mission chief, Maxim Valentov, who gives him information about Nate. Then he starts following Nate to see his schedule. She follows him to the pool, catching his eye, and Nate accosts her on the way out. Dominika seems uninterested in him, so as not to arouse suspicion, and tells him a lie that she works as a translator at the embassy. The next day, however, Nate doesn't come to the pool. Nate already suspects that he is not who he appears to be. He tells his bosses that she has used several names that lead to Ivan and considers her valuable for registering at the pool under her real name, not the fake passport she received when she left on the mission, knowing she would be checked. His bosses want more information. Dominika reports to Valentov that she has made contact with Nate and requests a permit for the embassy. When she goes to the embassy, she sees Marta, her roommate, chatting over a cigarette with a local American, Stephanie Boucher. Nate shows up next to her and invites her to have dinner with him the next day, and she accepts and then leaves for the apartment. Once there, she begins to inspect Martha's belongings and sees that she has bought information. When Marta returns, she does not suspect anything and gives Dominika a copy of the report sent to Moscow, from where the girl found out that Valentov had described her negatively in the report. The next day, Valentov goes to a bar and asks Dominika for favors for a better report, but she challenges him and he hits her. The surveillance cameras capture the images of his aggression, and Dominika warns him that if he does not write a good report, the images will reach the police. Nate is alone at a restaurant table for the promised dinner. But thinking that Dominika is not coming, he gets up and leaves without knowing that she is following him from a distance. Arriving at the apartment, Nate receives another coded phone call, which he hastily deciphers, but as he is about to leave there is a knock at the door. He opens it and sees Dominika crying outside the door. He invites her in and pours some whiskey into her glass. She tells him that she was assaulted by her boss. Nate asks her how she knows where she lives, but she turns up the volume on the TV so she can't hear him. Dominika asks Nate what happened in that park in Russia and tries to kiss him, but he tells him to go home and find out what he wants. One day later, on his way to Vienna, Ivan stops by Dominika and tells her that his superiors are anxious to hear about the progress of his mission. She lies to him to buy more time and tells him that she is working with Marta on the Boucher case and that she needs more money. Ivan accepts, and tells her to give him the coat to go. Dominika turns to the coat, takes out the passport and peeks into it, then hands it to him. After she leaves, Marta takes the gun in her hand and asks Dominika why she lied about the Boucher case, because it's her mission. And Dominika answers that she needs more time, and the money will be given to her, even more. Still upset, Marta agrees. Then Dominika goes and opens a bank account in Vienna, and Marta goes to Valentov and tells him that she knows how to get rid of Dominika. Dominika, that same night, comes home and sees Marta dead in the bathroom. Matt Oren appears from the shadows, grabs her by the head and bends her over Marta, saying that this is what happens to those who share secrets. Nate reports to his superiors about his encounter with Gable. It's about the informant he also met in the park and gave him files that expose Dominika as a Sparrow, while Nate thinks he can recruit her. At the same time, Dominika is interrogated, but does not tell them anything. When he leaves the police, Nate approaches her, walks her home and tells her he knows she's a Sparrow. Dominika reveals that all she did was to be able to save her mother. Nate offers to be a double agent for him, offering her protection, but she tells him she wants to sleep. She sleeps in his room, but overnight she goes to his room and makes love to him. She then asks if she can trust him and he says yes. In the morning, she tells him that she accepts the proposal and goes back to her business. She writes a fake report on Nate, claiming to have it in her pocket, and returns home, where she waits for a signal via a phone call where she hears her favorite song. Dominika is given a lie detector test by Nate's bosses to make sure they can trust her. They agree, and she asks them for money. He then gives them important information about a prominent American politician, Stephanie Boucher. On Friday, she leaves with the whole team for a meeting with Boucher in London, and Dominika stays in a room with video cameras to watch her. She is sitting at the bar waiting for Boucher, when Valentov appears out of nowhere and says he wants to help her. She tells him that his presence compromises her mission and tells him to back off. Immediately Boucher arrives. Dominika tells her that Marta sent her, but the American wants to leave, but Dominika threatens her with some compromising photos, tells her about the money and makes her change her mind. Then they both went up to the room, where Valentov was waiting for them. Boucher, in exchange for the money, gives them some diskettes which Dominika, under the pretext of checking, replaces them with ones from the CIA. Then, Valentov and Dominika left, leaving the American woman to wait another hour according to protocol, but, being drunk, she also left the door shortly after. When she reaches the street she realizes she is being followed, throws the money into a trash can and crosses the street where a truck hits her and kills her. At the time of the accident, Dominika is with Valentov in a car, and he receives the news by phone. Valentov asks for Dominika's passport, saying that they have been ordered to return to Moscow urgently. As soon as they arrive, Ivan demands their floppy disks and arrests them on charges of helping the Americans. Dominika is interrogated, but she denies the charges. Then they start torturing her in different ways, but her answer remains the same. The investigators show her a video of how they shot Valentov in the head, that he lied, but she repeats endlessly that she doesn't work with the Americans. Even when he put the gun to her head, she didn't admit anything. Then Ivan came too, but Dominika manipulates him and the investigators let her go home. Arriving home, she feels very sick and won't let her mother hug her. After a rough meeting with Zakharov and Korchnoi, Ivan goes home, where Dominika is waiting for him and tells him that she will resume the mission to work with Nate. Then Dominika returns to Budapest as a double agent and meets Nate. Arriving at Nate's apartment, Dominika tells him that her release is a bit suspicious and asks Nate to help her go with her mother to the USA and that she needs money, and Nate agrees. During the night, Dominika wakes up hearing noises. When he gets to the kitchen, he sees Matt Oren strangling Nate. She pretends to be on his side, appearing to participate in torturing Nate to name the traitor, and in a moment of carelessness, Dominika punches Matt Oren hard and helps Nate break free. A three-way fight ensues, and Dominika takes advantage of Matt Oren's slipping and finishes him off. The next day, Dominika wakes up in the hospital and goes out to smoke a cigarette, during which time General Korchnoi comes to her, who tells her that he is the double agent and tells her that he is resigned to his fate and that she can do anything with these information. Anyway, he's sure he'll be caught soon. She then goes to see Nate, who is also in the hospital, badly injured from the torture. Dominika then surrenders to the police and asks the Russian ambassador to tell Zakharov that she is telling him the name of the traitor in exchange for his freedom. Overnight, a meeting is organized at the airport to confirm the traitor, Dominika. If she runs, she will be shot, and Nate has to confirm the identity of the traitor, and this fact angers him, thinking that Dominika has betrayed him. When the Russians show up with the traitor and take the bag off his head, Nate is surprised to see Ivan, instead of Korchnoi, framed with false evidence created by Dominika ever since he arrived in Budapest. At that point Nate quickly realizes and confirms that he is the turner, then the exchange is made. Ivan is shot by a sniper and Dominika is flown home by helicopter, where she is decorated and declared a hero. Then she is at home with her mother. At the end, she gets a phone call and hears the signal she had with Nate, her favorite song. If you liked our summary, please feel free to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.